once again from Only Facts Media. So Keir Starmer, an hour ago, those attacking Jess Phillips not interested in victims of grooming gangs. I've seen a bit of it. He basically accuses Tommy Robinson of encouraging street violence. When has Tommy ever done that? Let me ask. Tell me. He's condemned it. He doesn't encourage it. He condemns it. But yeah, I'll let you listen to Keir Starmer tell you everyone what a great job he's done, and Jess Phillips, and what the Tories didn't do, and what they're going to do, and blah 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 blah. You make your own mind up.
You can meet as often as you like for free.
As Chief Prosecutor, I'm prepared to call out this for what it is. We've seen this playbook many times, whipping up the question of Elon Musk. Look, I think most people are more interested in what's going to happen to the NHS, frankly, than what's happening on Twitter. But you asked me a really important question that's been in the news for the last few days. I am going to, with permission, just answer it quite fully, because it is a really important set of issues. And let me start with this. Child sexual exploitation is utterly sickening, utterly sickening. And for many, many years, too many victims have been completely let down by perverse ideas about community relations, or by the idea that institutions must be protected above all else. And they've not been listened to, and they've not been heard. And when I was Chief Prosecutor for 5 years, I tackled that head on, because I could see what was happening. And that's why I reopened cases that had been closed and supposedly finished. I brought the first major prosecution of an Asian grooming gang. In the particular case, it was in Rochdale, but it was the first of its kind. There were many that then followed that format. I changed the whole prosecution approach, because I wanted to challenge, and did challenge, the myths and stereotypes that were stopping those victims being heard. So we changed the entire approach, not without criticism at the time, I might add. And when I left office, we had the highest number of child sexual abuse cases being prosecuted on record. Now, that record is not secret. As a public servant, it's there for all of you or everybody to see. I also called for mandatory reporting of child sexual abuse. I called for that a decade ago. The Tories did nothing about that for those 10 long years, including when the J report came out nearly 3 years ago now. Central plank, mandatory reporting, still hasn't been done. We're going to do it. But let's just...
All he does is blame the Tories. Yes, they did a terrible job, but this man was in charge of the Crown Prosecution Service. He could have done it himself. But instead, he chooses just to blame the opposition as per usual. Not my fault. Elon Musk just wants, what's the word? Yeah, he just wants a bit of online fame, because he's not famous enough, is he? And Tommy Robinson encourages violence, as you're just about here.
Bring it in closer, and I will answer you on Jess Phillips in particular, because those that are spreading lies and misinformation as far and as wide as possible, they're not interested in victims. They're interested in themselves.
Really?
Those who are cheerleading Tommy Robinson, not interested in justice. They're supporting a man who went to prison for nearly collapsing a grooming case, a gang grooming case.
I know exactly what he's talking about. Tommy was outside the court, right, reporting, doing a journalistic job. Funny enough, there was no other journalists there, because they're too frightened of telling the truth of what's going on. A massive Islamic grooming gang. And I think Tommy said to one of them, "Oh, you got your prison bag there, mate," or something like that. And next thing, riot van turns up, takes Tommy to prison, kangaroo court. They didn't even allow him to talk to his lawyer. They locked him in a room, not a cell, a room, for 2 hours. His lawyer turned up. He said, and the police said, "We don't know where he is." Blah blah blah. That is what Tommy has been up against: complete and utter corruption. And this man is corrupt.
These are people who are trying to get some kind of vicarious thrill from street violence that people like Tommy Robinson promote. And those attacking Jess Phillips, who I'm proud to call a colleague and a friend, not protecting victims. Jess Phillips has done 1,000 times more than they've even dreamt about when it comes to protecting victims of sexual abuse throughout her entire career. And so just as I took on the criminal justice system and the institutions when I was chief prosecutor, I'm prepared to call out this for what it is. We've seen this playbook many times, whipping up of intimidation and threats of violence, hoping that the media will amplify it. Now, Jess Phillips does not need me or anybody else to speak on her behalf. But when the poison of the far right leads to serious threats to Jess Phillips and others, then in my book, a line has been crossed. I enjoy the cut and thrust of politics.
It's because we want support for the victims of these atrocious grooming gangs. We are all far right thugs, basically. That's what he's saying. It disgusts me. It really does disgust me.
The robust debate that we must have, but that's got to be based on facts and truth, not on lies.
Yeah, only facts.
Not on those who are so desperate for attention that they're prepared to debase themselves and their country.
It's desperate for attention.
So this government will get on with the job of protecting victims, including child sexual abuse, mandatory.
He is desperate to get X banned like they have done in Brazil, in this country. I bet he does his best to try and do it.
Reporting, accelerating the processes. But what I won't tolerate is this discussion and debate based on lies without calling it out. What I won't tolerate is politicians jumping on the bandwagon simply to get attention when those politicians sat in government for 14 long years, tweeting, talking, but not doing anything about it. Now so desperate for attention that they're amplifying what the far right is saying. So that's what I say about Jess Phillips.
We're all far right, aren't we, Kier? We are all far right. So according to Kier Starmer, we're all far right because we want protection for the children of Britain who have been, well, a large majority, have been brutally gang raped, been groomed, and brutally gang raped by hordes and hordes of different men over the years. Just because we want justice for them, we are far right. If we're far right, what was Adolf Hitler? We're far right, super far right. Madness. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Share, like.